Well, hello everybody and welcome to the live stream. I hope you enjoyed the new intro. That'll have to do for the minute until we get something else sorted out. And straight away, without any hesitation, ladies and gentlemen, I shall introduce you to John the White. Hello, John.
Hello, everybody. Hello, live stream. It's absolutely fantastic to be here with you, Gobby. And this is the first of an ongoing series
Yep.
where we're going to be talking about, very simply, why we love Doctor Who. Because, let's get in front of it. There is a reason that we are doing this particular theme of stream, and we're doing it now. And the reason is that, unfortunately, on the 13th of December, I was told that I'm basically done for. And that's been a little bit of a tough one. And yes, I mean, at the moment, my life expectancy is in the region of 3 to 6 months. Because after 2.5 years of going to the doctors with a whole bunch of complaints about my stomach and trying to eat and all sorts of problems, eventually, very, very late in the day, they found stage 4 pancreas cancer. So I've decided to be upfront about it. I've shared that. Everybody knows that. And so this series is, in effect, my last contribution for Doctor Who fandom. But grim news aside, we're here to have a bloody good time.
Absolutely.
And we're going to keep on having a bloody good time week after week after week until I'm not able to do it anymore. And how long that is, I don't know, nor do you. It's a complete mystery. How can I put this? If we manage 4 shows, that'll be lovely.
Yeah.
If we keep going and it's Easter, that'll be even better. If we're still going at summer solstice, we'll have a real celebration.
Yeah.
But I'm going to need a proper bona fide actual miracle to be able to do one this time next year.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, the upcoming RTD2 era, including the upcoming 60th, I've had to let them go. I'm not going to get to see them, guys.
Yeah, sadly.
And all my optimism about the Shooty Gatwa era, it's going to have to be for fans to come. And but I want you to know, I'm not down about this. And I'm not the kind of guy who's going to go, "Ooh, poor me, why did it have to be me?" Sob, sob, sob. I'm just not. I believe in living in the moment, and I believe in dealing with what's real, and I believe in facing my own shit. And if I didn't believe in those things, I wouldn't have lived the life I've led, and I really enjoyed the life I've led. So I wanted to say, yes, it's sad, but don't feel you have to be sad.
Yeah.
And it's okay for you guys to feel happy for me to meet a good end, because that's what I want. Is I want to make a good job of this,
Absolutely.
and I want you to know that whether we go somewhere else or whether we just go to oblivion, whichever way it is, I am not afraid.
Yep.
Because fear won't change a thing.
Nope.
And there's such a thing as dignity, and there's such a thing as harmony and balance. There's also such a thing as appreciation. So, people don't know this about me necessarily, but I've actually worked in the care industry for many years, and I was a palliative carer, which means that I've helped many people through the dying process, including dying of cancers similar to the one which is now clearly going to do me in. And I'm not afraid of this death. It's okay. We've got decent pain management, which is really the key to it, and it's not too bad. And don't I'm so grateful it's not something like lung failure, because I would absolutely hate that one, because I have a phobia of asphyxiation. So having to fight for your last breaths like that, oh gosh,
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, all that's going to happen is I'll keep going until my body can't keep going anymore. Something will basically go sprawling,
Yeah.
and then I'll be very ill, probably in a coma, certainly out of it on morphine, and then I'll shortly have to die. And it really ain't going to be so bad. So let's not be, let's go forward in that mood, and let's get started
Yes.
talking about Doctor Who. Although,
Good old
just
Doctor
briefly,
Who.
there are some pancreas cancer charities that I'll bring in, but we won't worry about them tonight. I'll bring
No.
them in on future episodes, but I'm talking to them and everything. Right, let's go. Okay, Gobby,
Right then.
you kick us off. Why do
Well,
you love Doctor Who?
yeah, well, I've never professed to be a Whovian, because obviously I've always said that Doctor Who's like my third favourite. It's always been
Okay.
Star Wars and Star Trek. So I'm not massively versed in the classic Who. I'm more kind of new Who, although the classic Who I do remember, I watched, obviously Tom Baker was my doctor,
Yeah.
and still is the Doctor as far as I'm concerned. There's no one going to ever beat that. Why I love Doctor Who? Because it demonstrated to me as a kid that you didn't have to be the big, strong boy. You could beat people with your brains. And that was something that, I mean, when I was a kid, I was a
There
skinny
was
and
no other character like
no,
that. That
no other
is an
character.
absolutely key thing about who the Doctor
For
is.
who he is. He
Yeah,
is. It shows you that you don't have to be the brawn and the big strong macho man. That this thing up here is
yeah.
a more powerful weapon than any other weapon known to man, and that's why I've always
Well, it
enjoyed.
told young boys that it was okay to
Yeah,
think.
exactly.
That thinking was allowed, because other boys' role models in the 60s and the 70s, especially, they were kind of action, weren't they?
Yeah, they're action.
Punch
They were
first, ask questions later
punch
sort
and
of
shoot first.
characters.
Whereas, yeah, I mean, my dad. I mean, well, obviously, I mean, I watched Star Trek, and obviously in Star Trek, there is a lot of fisty fights, but it's the two of them for me worked well when I was a kid because one gave me the eternal optimism and hope that everything was going to be great in the end, and
Yes.
Doctor Who was just the fact that it just resonated. I think it resonated with all young boys who weren't these big butch horrible people, or not necessarily horrible, but relied on their strength. That that you could use your mind, and I think that's and I like to be entertained. I like to be taken. I'm a sci-fi fan, so I like to be taken away and taken out of this world and put somewhere else and see fantastic monsters and I just have a good story. And Doctor Who, up until recently,
Does it
Doctor Who
all? Yeah, it certainly
delivered.
has provided us with copious amounts of all that.
Oh God, yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. So
I
that's
found
why.
what you said right at the start there interesting. That you don't think of yourself as a Whovian because you've got, which way around is it? Star Trek then Star Wars, or Star Wars then
It
Star
was
Trek?
Star Trek. It was Star Trek first, and then because
Star
I got
Trek,
that, and then it was
which is
and then
by far the more intelligent show. Let's be
yeah,
honest.
and yeah, well,
Yes.
Star Trek uses your brain. Star Wars blasts you to oblivion, but it was
So
always
Star Trek,
Star Trek
Star Wars, Doctor Who,
too. Yeah,
and then you mostly got you like Tennant was like where you got the program's popularity,
yeah, yeah.
but you did see it as a kid, but it
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
like
yeah.
the
It
biggest
was
thing for your
no,
week.
it was in and out. I mean, I remember watching all of Tom Baker, but
Yes.
then obviously life kind of it drifted away. I watched some, so I'm not this
Because
huge.
I am on that definition. I am extremely Whovian.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Doctor Who has always been my number one.
yeah,
But then I'd probably say Doctor Who, Star Trek, Star Wars.
yeah, yeah,
I was,
yeah,
yeah. So I mean, it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
so different really, but yeah, I mean, Doctor Who was always my number one because it was there for me when I was very young, and
yeah.
I connected to it right at the start of my life. I was born during the transmission, well, not literally while the episode was going out, but yeah, but during the week that day, the day of the Daleks was being transmitted,
Right.
and so as I was growing up, I would start to get snippets of John Pertwee's portrayal
Right.
And like things
Yeah.
where I don't know, there was some strike or something, so they suddenly re-showed the whole of the Sea Devils one afternoon or something,
That would
and
make sense. Yeah.
I suddenly would just like put the telly on and be captivated. That was quite special, actually. That one.
Yeah.
There was a cut down version of Genesis of the Daleks used to get shown a fair bit too.
Yeah.
When strikes suddenly
When they were in the
spoiled the
strikes. Yeah.
BBC's plans, and there were plenty of strikes.
Oh yeah, there certainly was.
Yeah, there were plenty of strikes. So that's where Doctor Who first started to seep in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I clearly remember it as in kind of understanding it with shows like the Time Warrior, the start to the Time Warrior, where Lynx comes out of the capsule and plants the flag, and it goes blip, 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 blip,
Yeah.
I'm now what was it he declared? I'm now claiming Earth for the glory of the greatest Sontaran empire, something like that.
Yeah.
So that was sticking with me. Bits of Planet of the Spiders really stick in my mind. Yeah, because like giant creepy spiders.
Yeah.
Other things like Ice Warriors and things, and then the year after, Daleks and Davros.
Yeah. I mean,
so that's when I began to associate fulfilling the boring task of ticking off the football coupon.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, because I used to do it because it was even more boring to sit there listening to it.
Absolutely.
And I booked the slot and I was guarding the telly because there was no way I was letting any of either my brothers or my sister change that channel.
No.
I mean, that's Whovian. That's Whovian.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm talking about me at 5 or 6, and it was bigger than me anyway. It just beat me up, but I was still determined.
Well, fair enough.
So I used to take on the job of actually ticking off the football results because it gave me a reason to be there, and it was less irritating than me just ranting at the television. Get Doctor Who on now. Because the thing is, back in the days of only 3 television channels,
yeah, absolutely,
the extraordinary was uncommon. Also, there were no video recorders.
No.
So a program where you could watch it and the story would stay in your mind and give you something to think about for the week was a good program.
Absolutely.
I don't think you can say that about a lot of Netflix shows.
No. Well,
they can stay in your mind for 5 minutes. You actually put more effort in than most of the audience.
It's like when you're trying to do a video, to do a review. By the time you've started the video, you forgot the episode.
That's it. It was significant. It was 25 minutes of your week, which was unlike any of the other minutes in your week.
Yeah.
And there was nothing else that you could replace it with. Doctor Who was that important.
It was.
And by the time we got to sort of season 13, season 14, I was able to follow the stories pretty much properly from that point.
Right then, so it's even more enjoyable.
So I watched Talons of Wing Chiang, and what a glorious story that is. We'll definitely come back to that story to talk about it in more depth. But Mr. Sin waddling along with his knife and the blood dripping down his sleeve. Oh, the chills are going down my little spine. Little Johnny White, he was traumatized and mesmerized in
all in one go
amounts at the same time. That's why we love Doctor Who. What other program does that to us in an environment where it's all okay? It's all okay to let all these things out in your imagination and your feelings. I think I will switch that off because otherwise, I'm sorry. I am of course getting a lot of people talking to me, which is lovely. I mean, coming back to our other topic for a moment.
Absolutely.
One of the things which has been really good about getting in front of it and being upfront and telling people about it is it's allowed people to come to me to bring me advice and information and everything else. And also of course, if I hadn't of made the NHS investigate me, I'll talk in detail about how I did that and why I had to do that, because it's actually pretty shocking. But I did have to force their hand. But if I hadn't have done that, and I'm so grateful for people who helped me do that, I would have been spending all of Christmas in ignorance of what's
Yes.
going on with me,
Agreed.
and all the time my time would be ticking even shorter, and my situation would be even worse because, I'm benefiting now from effective treatment that I wasn't getting before. So
Exactly.
certain
Exactly.
things that I'm taking which are helping me a lot. I just want to say going public and just being unafraid, coming out of the closet, because not everyone does that, you
No,
know.
no. A lot of
And,
people do hide.
I'm sure that not everybody should, because certainly, not everybody's me. But it's been my way of doing it, and I'm really pleased that I have. In fact, for that reason, it's allowed me to have these special conversations with friends and family,
Yeah.
because we all know that actually we need to have, if we've got to have a conversation, let's have a conversation, because
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
that has been really valuable. Anyway, yes, but I've turned the phone off, so I won't get any more interruptions. So back to Doctor Who. Where were we? Talons of Wing Chiang and
Yeah.
that period, and then the Graham Williams era. All the key to time is just like watching it for the first time is fresh in my mind, like yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
And season 17, I adored season 17. Season 18, I've just been watching some of season 18 earlier today. I've done State of Decay.
Wow.
Next up is Keeper of Traken, and then I'm going to go on into Logopolis.
Wow.
I'm skipping Warriors Deep because I watched it 2 weeks ago. So.
Oh well, you know. Oh yeah.
But,
Yeah. It might be still a bit too fresh.
There's not my. I am of course watching Doctor Who in my relaxing times right
Of
now. Oh,
course.
hello! I'll say hello, Miranda.
Hello.
Thank you for coming, because I know that
Yeah.
Miranda's had her own stuff to deal with today. So thank you
Yes.
very
Yeah.
much for popping in.
Yeah.
Shall we take a few minutes to see what people have been saying? We haven't looked at any chat
Well,
yet. So.
let's roll back. I mean, obviously, a lot of people have,
I can see it on my end as well.
yeah.
So
So I mean,
you're a magic button man.
yeah,
So
I'm the magic button man. I
I
mean,
I'm liberated of responsibility. That's what's so wonderful about doing this.
well, I'll tell you, I'll start displaying the comments from when we started actually talking about Doctor Who. So, uh, mentioning Pluto TV, that's very true. They have got all of them.
Yes, we
So,
do. Yes.
so obviously, Tom Baker is always the best. Can't disagree with that. And Tom Baker is definitely the best Doctor. Doctor Who is silly but heartwarming and occasionally heartbreaking and real. Yeah, because that's called entertainment. I do believe, isn't that the point of the show a lot of the times?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's what
They
I don't
turned
like about
him into an action hero instead of
it.
using his brain.
Yes,
Well, some of it has just been
some of it, yeah.
ridiculous.
I mean,
Even as much as I've enjoyed it, I mean, Peter Capaldi's skydive
yeah.
in episode 12. What was that called? Death in
Oh,
Heaven? Oh, God.
Death in Heaven or
Episode
something
title.
like that. Yeah, yeah.
I loved it. I loved it at the moment, and it was super damn cool. But that's not the Doctor Who I grew up with.
No, that's a Tom Cruise. That's a Tom
And the
Cruise.
same when
Yeah.
David Tennant did his dive at the spaceship through the
Yeah,
glass dome. Come on.
yeah. I mean, that's the
But
Tom
it was
Cruise
David
version.
Tennant, so I went with it. But
Yeah,
there is that
true.
aspect of. I mean, it sounds weird to say it, of realism.
Yeah.
But classic does have that New Who lacks. In that classic never tried to break the law of physics,
No.
as far as I'm aware.
No.
To have a spaceship with a star drive, I suppose that's breaking the laws of physics.
Yeah,
Bending them a
kind
little,
of
at least.
bending them a bit.
But
it is a
certainly with
sci-fi
action
show.
sequences,
Yeah,
everything was real with consequences.
yeah,
They never showed the blood, but you knew someone had been knifed,
yeah.
for example.
Exactly.
And then they didn't move anymore.
No,
So I mean, it wasn't
yeah.
the more sort of slapstick action it's become in places.
With New Who, when I watch classic with New Who, I find that New Who's reliance on the sonic screwdriver is getting a little bit ridiculous now.
Oh God, yeah.
Instead of it being a tool that was used sparingly, now it's the get out of jail free
I'll
card.
tell you
every
what I
time there's
think
a
is the problem with it. When I watch, I think the problem started with Tennant. It ran right through. Smith was really bad with it.
Yeah,
Capaldi, I think, was a bit better with it, and then the unmentionable.
yeah.
So,
Exactly.
but,
Exactly.
when when Smith was doing it, if you look at his performance when he's using his sonic screwdriver, you never feel like it's realistically telling him anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's just totally. I mean, I loved it that they got John Hurt to take the piss out of it because it needed to.
Yeah, that was brilliant. That was brilliant.
But even more importantly, to stop doing it.
Yeah,
you know,
stop
doing it that way. And you know, Peter Davison was no worse off for his getting torched in The Visitation.
Exactly.
He managed to have another full 2 seasons without Sonic.
Without one, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, it's been a bit overhyped.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Yeah. Of course, the first one was Patrick Troughton just doing it with a pen.
Yeah,
you know? And then they had one which was like a little torch they had in the war games. The scene with the revolver on the table and the it take the screws out, it put the screws back in. It is amazing. You know, and all that stuff, which took up like half of one of the episodes. You know, great effect actually. The screws, in fact.
Right. So the next comment up.
Yeah, all the issue I cared about was with Daleks. I only ever watched if they were in it, but when series 3 came out, I watched everything, and I was a religious fan until the thing happened.
Yeah,
so to be on a positive stream, we're just not even going to say the words. No,
it's just the thing, the incident,
the occurrence, the unfortunateness. Yes, all of those. Yeah,
the dark time, whatever it is. So
all I can say is, thank God I could die happy knowing Doctor Who's in a better.
Oh yeah, it's been saved hopefully now.
Imagine if I thought season 11 was my final season of Doctor Who ever. I mean, I wouldn't want to die then. That must have been tough for fans who had to pop off then. Bless them. So you know, always look on the bright side. But back to the positive. Kirk was a nice balance between brain and brawn. He's perfect, and he
was the best captain ever.
Yes.
And as a Star Trek fan, don't argue. Kirk was the best, and there is no more to discuss about that. Right, what's the next one? I love Doctor Who saying really, basically. Hold on.
Some young poo on politely, even maybe with open school. So, basically, I'm a bit lost. I can't quite be sure I understand that one.
No.
Let's do the world, right? Okay.
Same with me. I was bullied a lot. Tom Doctor was an empowering figure to me.
Absolutely, Tom Doctor was an empowering figure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Next one. Yeah, to be taken out of this world, but knew he spends all his time on the council estate. Can't argue with that. You really can't.
It does keep the budget down, though. You must admit.
It's massively down. Oh, yes. That's good. True. Time Prophet. I have all 694 episodes of the original series. That'll do for me now. Well, yeah.
Get in there. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, Predators rip off the Sea
Devils with netting. Well, yeah,
Totally.
absolutely.
Look. Doctor Who has influenced one hell of a lot of stuff. One of the things which is unfortunate in life is that my long-term girlfriend died 14 months ago, and so a little bit bittersweet. But she was a huge fan of this time travel show. Oh gosh, it was all Highlanders. What's the thing called?
Oh,
does this ring any bells with you? It's run for seasons and seasons and seasons.
I'm sure somebody will remember it.
Yeah, and it's hugely popular. And there's a character in there whose name comes from Jamie McCrimmon.
Ah, right.
Because the very idea for that show was lifted straight from War Games.
Well, yeah.
And I think there's a series of books before that.
Probably.
Oh God, it's just floating in front of my head, but it just won't quite come out. The name of a series, it'd be like after the stream. Like, oh damn it!
Yeah, that'll be the one.
Yes, but she loved that show, and so she never had a chance to really get into Doctor Who because we were long distance, you see, and she was going to move to England, and it never actually happened, which was a bit tragic.
Sad.
So I was going to be doing the whole sitting down, doing the Doctor Who thing, but
doing the education lessons.
Yeah, unfortunately, our relationship just didn't get that far. Remarkably, that was a tragedy. But there was a whole new, different time travel show that she knew and she loved, and she'd watched year after year for about 8 years, and the whole thing would never have existed without Doctor Who.
Doctor Who, yeah.
So
absolutely.
you know, I mean, there must be hundreds of examples
Oh yeah,
across,
absolutely.
if not thousands, across pop media. You know, shows that try to rip off Doctor Who.
Oh God, yeah,
You
yeah,
know, there's a whole list there, isn't there? Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely.
and there's something always very special. Gobby, how long have we been streaming for?
We've been streaming for 26 minutes exactly.
Okay, because because we want to do an hour today.
Yeah, about an hour today, and
It's
then
a bit of a squeeze in before New Year and stuff.
yeah, it is. It's a quick
And
squeeze before New Year.
we've done well, believe you me. We've done very well to
Yes.
negotiate an hour. So
Well, the thing is, while we're
I
reading
want to
these comments,
I want
there's
to
so
talk
many
about
coming.
a more specific story.
Yeah, go on then.
And
All right.
you know, because even though I hope to do more of these, I never know. So I better say this up front.
Yeah.
There is one story that will always be in my top 5 Doctor Who stories, and nothing will ever shake this story out for me. And that is first the Daleks, the Dead Planet.
Alex. Yes. That is.
I cannot overemphasize how much of a creative masterpiece that was.
Absolutely.
And I also cannot underestimate how utterly vital that story was to Doctor Who surviving as a show.
Yes, because of course it was,
You
wasn't
know,
it?
even
Yeah.
into having a complete first series. If the Daleks had fallen on its arse in the ratings, they wouldn't have made the second
Yeah.
half of series 1.
It would never have got there, would it?
But it is a perfect combination of elements. And even today, the first episode where we arrive on Skaro, as we will discover it, obviously the planet is, in the petrified forest, and they start exploring and they find the magnetic magnetron creature,
Yeah.
and there's that sort of stuff going on, and they're trying to work out why everything is turns into ash and things when they touch it, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And then because they haven't looked at the radiation meter, so they're
No.
getting this big dose of radiation, and then the Doctor, whose character had certainly not been settled, you know, at that point in the show's history, because in the first story, I mean, the first Doctor is quite willing to brain a caveman with a rock
Yeah. Yeah.
in order to get out
Absolutely.
of a cave, and it's Ian Chesterton who stops him point blank murdering this guy
Yeah.
in order to escape. I mean, obviously that never happened again.
No. No.
Because the key plot point of the first story was the Doctor was lighting his pipe.
Yes.
You know, so that also never happened again. So there were things in the first story that never ever happened again. But the carryover into the second story was, of course, the Doctor lying to everybody, but the fluid link had run out of mercury. When there was nothing wrong with it, and he just
Nothing
wanted to go
wrong.
and have a nosy at the city, and he didn't really
Yeah.
care what these stupid humans who barged onto his spaceship, space-time ship, thought about or wanted to do. He wanted to do what the hell he wanted to do. So, you know, the way the audience was kind of came to love Hartnell's portrayal, and it didn't come easy. It came slowly. You
Yeah.
know, I mean,
Earned.
I think that's something that no other Doctor had.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
I mean, Troughton had to reinvent the part,
Yes, he did.
and
Really.
Hartnell never got to be a regenerating Time Lord. That wasn't
Yeah.
who Hartnell's Doctor was. Hartnell's Doctor was this mysterious man with his mysterious
This
machine.
machine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, and that was a very special part of the show. So I think that for all the lore, and I mean, we're talking about being a Whovian. I mean, I'm only like that about the TV show. I'm not a read all the books person, and I'm not a listen to all the audio dramas person. You know, so I don't, and all the comic books, I don't consider every bit of content to be Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Which makes it quite helpful when there were 3 ship seasons recently. But
I'm just
you
gonna,
know, yeah.
I'm just going to
But
pop in.
you know, yeah.
John, the other John, has put out that show you were talking about was called Outlander.
Thank you. That's it.
There you
There
go.
we go. Yes.
Knew someone to know it. I knew someone to know
Yes.
it. There you
Somebody
go.
new Outlander. There we go. Now
There you
that's popped right back in my head now.
There you go.
Yeah, Outlander. I meant to see it, but I don't know if I should start an 8-season epic now.
Good boy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
We'll
There's
see. We'll see.
There's something to mull around.
I mean, I could take a risk on something new, or I could watch Classic Who again. Ooh.
Classic Who.
Yes, a no-brainer,
Yeah.
really. Yeah.
No-brainer.
Oh, yeah,
No-brainer.
yeah. Well, I did watch the latest Tom Cruise movie last night, the Top Gun Maverick, because
It's a
I've
good
got
film.
Paramount Plus because Robert Burnett promises me that Picard season 3 is actually good,
Well, okay.
and it starts in February. So I thought I'd take a punt on it because I
Why
might be
not?
able to get to see that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've watched the latest Tom Cruise one. That was really quite good. I can see why
It's a
people
good film.
liked it.
Yeah,
Yes. But back to the Daleks.
yeah. Yes.
So you've got the triumph of the setting and the atmosphere of difference, and just try to imagine what it was like looking at that in 1963. You know,
I
this
know.
was as groundbreaking as the movie Forbidden Planet. What was that? 7 years before 1956, I think. Forbidden Planet.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah,
was
something around then. So this was
Yeah,
as groundbreaking as Forbidden Planet. It was just in black and white on a BBC budget, but the ideas were as large.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the sink plunger at the end of episode 1 just set the tone, you know, and then the nation had to see the whole thing. And
yeah, it was brilliant.
the perfect combination of the perfect writer, the perfect director, and the perfect designer
Yeah.
came together. I mean, the Daleks was a lightning bolt from space.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for the Daleks, we wouldn't have anything else much to talk about.
No, exactly.
So for those reasons alone, I will always rate it highly. But then on top of which, it's excellent.
Yeah.
It's absolutely excellent. I mean, yeah, there are a few things you wouldn't do the same way today. You know, you wouldn't get the hyper intelligent young female Time Lord to write a note badly on a piece of paper and then move it around with suckers, you know. So I mean, there are some bits which, of course, are of their time, but the power of Terry Nation's vision remarkably actually came through the screen. So
it was brilliant. It was brilliant.
It's just the most significant of stories, and I mean, that sums up how I feel about it, you know. I mean, I could tell you I'm definitely going to be seeing the Daleks again. In fact, it's on my to watch pile at the moment. Because, you know, I love it. And then not only that, but it then it hit the public imagination so much, it created a craze.
Oh, yeah.
It was a bona fide craze, you know. And of course, the first Amicus adapted film was in production, I think, before the first sequel to the Daleks came out. I think they started making the first Daleks movie with Peter Cushing, you know, just literally months afterwards. And I would have to say, I think the second film is better than the first film.
Well,
overall,
you
know, but you know, the people want more of it so much. We wanted it right now in colour in the movie theatre. I mean, that's how big this was. That's how
it was. Yeah, that was the demand.
This creation was. Yes.
Yeah, that was the demand. It was so impressive.
You know, frankly, when Doctor Who wasn't at such a creative peak, it coasted through on the Daleks' reputation for a lot of the time. You know, I mean, some of the Hartnell era is a bit ropey.
Well, yeah, I mean, they all have their ropey.
You know, saying. I mean, Hartnell, blasphemy, isn't my favourite Doctor.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it has to be Patrick Troughton for me. But I still, you see, I mean, Patrick Troughton created the Doctor that I knew when I first started watching the show.
Yeah.
But Hartnell's Doctor was for people who were alive back then.
Yes.
So he was a bit difficult to connect to. Actually, he wasn't as approachable as the other Doctors.
No, he was
Even as a kid reading the Target books,
yeah,
the
he
ones
was
with
very
Hartnell
gruff.
on the cover were a bit more imposing. You know,
Yeah,
he created this wonderful persona of the character, obviously.
yeah,
But when it comes to the Daleks, you know, that's where we first see the heroic caliber of a Doctor start to emerge. When the Daleks put him under interrogation,
nation
and he's
yeah,
clearly, you know, he's distressed, he's hot, he's uncomfortable, he's kneeling, you know, he's being forced to genuflect before these creatures, but he will not submit to them.
no, he will not submit. No, but he's
That was
being
character
pushed.
forming.
Yeah,
That was character forming, you know. So here's key parts of the Doctor's character. The same Doctor that 13 years later was going to be forced to kneel to Sutek, the Destroyer, but wouldn't submit to him either.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know that's how fundamental standing against evil is to the Doctor's character. Actually, I didn't say I'd never read the books. But I read the books in the Dark Ages, you know, between
Yeah.
1989 and 2005, and I think I'd probably stopped getting them by about halfway through the 90s. But a lot, I had all of the New Adventures and a good chunk of the Missing Adventures. But then the BBC took it back over, and I wasn't interested anymore. I didn't like the style of books they'd done. You know, I wasn't really sure how I felt, because it was expanding the Eighth Doctor. You know, I wasn't entirely sure I wanted more Eighth Doctor at the time. So you know, because what should we think about after the aborted TV show in '97? The series didn't come back, so it was like,
Yeah.
what should I think of? Should I think of McCann as canon or not? I didn't overstress myself about it. So, but yeah, Sutek the Destroyer, but back to the Daleks and the Doctor under that scanner, and you know, all the stuff with Ian kicking the shark that frows up the bum, saying, "Look, have you got no respect at all? Slap! I'll just take your woman and do what I like. You're just going to accept that sort of thing." I don't think they could write that nowadays.
No.
Somehow.
Oh, no. Oh, no. That would be.
I mean,
No.
Ian Chesterton. Yeah, I mean, this was not a beta character. You know, he was not a beta companion. Ian was a man's man.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Oh,
a civilized, cultured, reasonable man. But by golly, don't get his gander up. You know,
no.
especially in the Romans. Ian's
Yeah.
character, the journey that Ian goes on in the course of the Romans, that's just insane.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, he has to be a slave at a galley, he has to row across the blooming ocean. Meanwhile, the Doctor's eating grapes with Vicky.
It's like, he had to run.
Yeah, he had to run a marathon.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, God, he had to do everything.
but then he just shows up and he's good to go. And you know, Peter Purvis's character Stephen was much of the same vein, but a bit more of a prickly character at first. I really liked him as a companion, actually. In fact, may the gods of Doctor Who be listening. If there's one story I would love to come back from the Hartnell era, it's the Savages.
The Savages.
Because I think that's a little blinder. I really do.
Good.
I think it's a little blinder. And I don't know. No one's ever told me this, right? I have no reason at all to believe this. But of all the missing stories, there's something about the Savages that makes me feel it's out there.
Yeah, it might be. I hope it is.
You know, what can but hope, you know, along with 10th Planet Part 4 and all the rest of the stuff that Who fandom has spent decades praying to come back, you know.
Oh, brilliant. Well, just to let you know, we've had a few more people join us, mate. We've had Lee's in the chat. Old problem being the man.
Hi, Lee. Hi,
the man,
Lee.
the legend that he is.
And Sadako, I see. Hi, Sadako.
Sadako,
Hi,
Matthew Pan.
everybody. You're
Yeah,
also
hi,
welcome.
everybody.
JWC Reviews. Hi, mate. Hi, Time Profit. Hi, Matthew Panda.
Yeah,
Hi, File
File 13.
13.
Yeah, how you doing, mate? Yeah,
Archer Colin, of course. But
absolutely.
you know, the more the merrier. And, you know, tell people, let's get more people coming next week.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, because we just want to have a great time. And I
Yeah,
hope you're all enjoying the chat and the stream,
yeah,
and you know,
you know,
thinking about the show. And I do want to hear from you guys. And also, you know, we could bring in guests, can't we,
yeah,
Gobby? We want to have
absolutely.
guests come and join us on some of
Yeah,
these. So,
yeah,
you know, if you want to come and express your love for Doctor Who, whether it's
yeah,
for
absolutely
5 minutes
fantastic.
or half an hour, you could come and join in.
Yeah,
And that's all to the good.
yeah, because obviously the next one will be next Friday at half
Yes,
5. It will be 2 hours. It'll be
hopefully.
hopefully
Yes,
2 hours. Fingers
hopefully.
crossed. So if anyone wants to drop me a DM on my Twitter at Gobby Guy, if you're interested in coming, and we can sort of get in some of you on, it'd be absolutely brilliant to get
Well,
more people.
I'm having more thoughts about Hartnell right now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the Aztecs.
Oh, there's another good story.
Now that I think is pretty much the most perfect of all of the 60s historicals. Because it's a thumping good story. It's a really credible plot. It has a lot to say, but it doesn't say it by punching you in the face. You know, it allows Barbara objects to fulfilling the destiny of
Yeah.
the High Priestess, but she also finds that the forces that she needs to hold together no way will they let that happen.
Yeah.
And you know they're trying to save all their lives because that solar eclipse is on the way. And I think in the end, you know, it is a story about how you can't change human nature
Yeah.
and how some things are inevitable.
It is. Yeah,
You know,
unfortunately.
even though Barbara knew all the answers
Yeah. But
to how to fix the Aztec society, you know, there was just the practicalities of actually making it happen.
yeah.
Really taught her some humility in that story. So again, great character growth in a season one. In a season one story, but not only that, the production value is really hot. The
Yeah.
cast as a whole were totally on the ball. They all
Yeah.
really clearly put their all into it, and you know, painted backdrops aside,
Well,
you know,
yeah, but that was the technology then, wasn't it?
it was wonderfully realised.
Yeah.
So I think the Aztecs is another absolute gem from Doctor Who's first series. Um, what else do I really love about the first series of Doctor Who? Well, I think the Sensorites is a nice, solid tale. I think
Yeah.
it's a bit difficult these days for because it does progress a little bit slowly. But it was trying to say that not all monsters are monsters, and I think
Yeah.
that was quite a good message for Doctor Who's first series. And then you got Keys of Marinus, which is just this amazing mixed bag, you know,
Yeah.
from the acid sea island at the start in episode one was brilliantly imaginative.
Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant.
But a weird story. It sort of ends up as a courtroom drama.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah. It goes a bit, doesn't it? It
yeah,
goes a bit of a tangent, which is a bit strange.
I think it's one of those significant building block stories, but not
Yeah.
actually not a great story, but it has great stuff in it.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
which I think that is one thing that we could say for every episode of Classic Who.
It
Even
builds.
if we're delving into the depths of part 3 of Underworld, where the hell of the CSO, you know, and everything looked like a various forms of badly outlined vomit, you know.
Yeah.
Even in the depths of that, there are things to love about that story. I
Yeah.
love part 1 of that story with the spaceship, the what was it called? the PPE or something like that.
something like that.
And then what were the Manians,
No,
the
yeah,
space
yeah,
faring people, and then the backstory that they'd been messed about by the Time Lords. That was exciting.
yeah, because
So, as it happened, Underworld was one of my favourite Target novels
yeah,
because you don't have really terrible CSI in Target novels. And it's funny, actually. I remember reading Underworld under the covers with my torch on because the miners had turned the lights off that night and there wasn't no
yeah.
electricity.
No,
So
that's
you
right.
go to bed with your torch,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
just in case.
And there I was reading Underworld under the covers with the torch on. So I mean, it certainly that fits as childhood fave. But I mean, you know, fandom today,
Well,
it's never
yeah,
going to come near the top of the charts now, is it?
no, sadly
And to
not.
be fair, as it stands, it doesn't deserve to, but it's still got brilliance in it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I can't think of a single episode of Classic that you could say didn't have brilliance in it.
Mm,
Can
yeah.
you think of any where you
No,
go, God, that was just terrible on every level? There's got no merit whatsoever. I mean,
no,
every episode of Classic has
yeah, yeah.
something.
It has something. It always has that little thing
Oh,
that
mind you,
just.
the Underwater Menace is pretty close to the edge.
Well,
You
that's right
know,
on the edge.
I do love Troutman, and I know that some people love that story, but that one I find very difficult.
Well, again, that's.
It's just not a style that I can let myself enjoy. It's too damn silly. It's too ridiculous. You know, I
I
can't
think
help it.
that's one of those things with Doctor Who, isn't it? Though, which is also something that's it's the fact that everybody likes different things, everybody likes different episodes for different
Yes.
reasons, and it's always been a show that's encouraged conversation and discussion. You know, back in the day when we had such things before we just hurl vile abuse at each other.
I follow
And
you.
yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like you used to be able to have these wonderful conversations with people about what they liked and what they didn't like, and this, that, and the other. And it was always something to talk about. Whereas, obviously, sadly, nowadays it's something to be vile and disgusting over. And you know, it's a shame because that's what was always the best about the Classic Who is you could have a chat and just discuss it. But at the end of the day, both of you ended up enjoying it, or whoever you were both
Well,
enjoyed
my
the
every
episode.
encounter with fandom from the first time I learned that you could write off to get a fanzine sent to you in the post,
Yeah,
you know, so I don't know, 11, 12, I suppose, when I cottoned onto that. You know, and yeah, I could see from the letter section that fandom was about quite vociferous arguments,
yeah, yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
but
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
arguing about something about the show.
yeah. A
They were
specific
never arguing about something that had nothing to do with the show.
show.
We didn't
Exactly.
have time to waste arguing about nothing to do with the show. We had important arguments to have, thank
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
You know, yeah, I mean, the thing is that you could get passionately into them, or you could just read both sides. You go, yeah, you both got a bit of a point, make up your own mind and not be bothered,
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly. You know,
So,
just agree to disagree and move on to the next episode. You know what I mean? It was just like, oh,
if you had an opinion, you expressed it. And somebody
yeah,
else had a different opinion and expressed that. What you didn't do was then go, oh no, I shouldn't have an opinion, man, and run away. You just
yeah,
go, yeah, well, this is my opinion, and I have this opinion because,
yeah,
you know, and fandom used to allow you to do that. So, you
yeah.
know, the arguments, I'm sure there are examples where this isn't true, but I mean, almost always the arguments never turned rancid.
No,
It never went personal,
no, not like it,
you
not like
know,
the level it is
not like more recent times, yes. But yeah, I mean, so I suppose it was in the 80s. And of course, you know, 80s fan signs and the
now. Oh,
Eric Solwood and the John Nathan Turner and the Colin Baker goddamn row that was going on. I mean, nothing that you've
no,
seen online in the
no.
last 10 years. There's been nothing as aggressive
Oh, and
as
violent.
the fandom argument about John Nathan Turner and whether he should get a sack. You know, I mean, that argument was, but we still
Yeah.
all came together and said, you know what? Pyramids of Mars is really good, isn't it?
Yeah,
It is.
exactly.
Yeah,
You always
it
had that
is.
one
You
thing,
know,
that one
yeah.
set of episodes that sort of united
Because
everybody.
we're talking about the 80s now, wouldn't it
Yeah.
be fantastic if Tomb of the Cybermen came back one day?
Oh,
You know, because as a
absolutely.
fan, I
That'd
mean,
be great.
93, so I was 21 when Tomb of the Cybermen was actually recovered. But as a fan, you know, it had been my nightly prayer for 10 years for Tomb of the Cybermen to show back up. So it shows you never give up hope.
No, never give up hope, but it would
just a
be great.
second, Gobby. I'll be back in just a
Yeah,
moment.
yeah, no worries. There you go. So, oh, I was reading out this. John's got it right here with the arguments in Doctor Who fandom
Just
these
had
days.
to,
No, sorry, mate.
actually lose a jumper there. I was starting to
Oh,
stew.
it's getting too warm.
Yeah, I know.
Too warm.
It's outrageous.
Oh, God,
yes, it's outrageous. But I had to take my ears off to do it, you see. So.
Yeah, take your ears off. Love it. So John's comment there is quite right. Arguments in Doctor Who these days are not about the show itself, but the more aspects of culture within the show. Identity, politics,
all of that.
all of that. And that's what ruins it. That's what ruins it. You can't, you know.
Well, I mean, we have said so much about that.
Oh, over and over and over again.
Yes.
Into, you know,
I mean, the anti-white bias stream on your channel.
Exactly. That did a lot.
I actually think that should be revisited and get a lot more attention, especially since I'm off, so they can't cancel me.
No, that's true. I shall write that down, mate, and I shall.
I'm off, so they can't cancel me. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
They can't cancel me anyway. I'm uncancelable.
No.
I think they've found out by now.
Oh, I think they've given up by now, mate. It's not worth the effort anymore. But yeah.
Dear. My Twitter email is a sad legacy of we've investigated the complaint of man.
Oh gosh.
You know, still here. Yeah, you couldn't manage it. It took pancreas cancer to do what you could not.
So, yeah, and even that you're not giving into, mate. Even that you're fighting. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely, I'm fighting it. Yeah.
Absolutely, mate. You know, absolutely.
In fighting mood, as you can hear, in fighting mood right now. Okay, so we've got I don't know, 10 minutes ish, haven't we?
10 minutes left. 10 minutes left.
So let's have a look at if there's been more comments.
There's been loads of comments.
Loads. We've got great input, and I want even more people here next week.
Yeah, so, more people.
You know,
and as I said,
better. Come and join us.
Come and join us,
yes.
And you know, and if you want to pop on the stream next week, then you're more than.
JWC about Baroness. Yeah, you only really see the acid city kind of thing in the first and last episode. Quite right.
Which is a shame, really. It's a
bit of a shame. You know, it was a shame.
It was quite an interesting idea, that was.
And the board, of course, talking about fan fiction or in terms of a Doctor Who comic, there was a sort of timeline where the board became connected to the Cybermen and was supposed in some way to have been the originators of the Cybermen. I forget how that went, but it was definitely part of a comic strip for a while. I think we've caught up. The War Machines is a cracker, says Matthew. The War Machines is another one of those vitally important stories.
Yeah, it's one of them key stories.
Without which other stories could never have happened.
No.
Robot would be a great example.
Oh, I love Robot. But that was my series that I actually watched. That was my first ever introduction to Doctor Who was Robot. So
Robot is like a more effective version of the War Machines.
Exactly.
But even more so for Green Death.
Right, yeah.
Which I rewatched just a couple of nights ago. And the boss computer and how to have an evil computer and the evil computer room with the evil computer wheels of tape whirling around, you know, and the evil computer buttons and everything. To me, what they did in the Green Death was perfecting the prototype from the War Machine.
Right,
in terms of how to do that kind of mad computer protagonist. And then the show did it in different ways, in like the Face of Evil. That's another mad computer, isn't it? How many mad computers has the Doctor had to do down over the years? It's more than one.
Yeah.
They show up every now and again. Yeah, I definitely down as Mad Computer, that one.
Yeah.
So
Want to catch up with this chat there. Colin Shaw News is the voice of the First Doctor. Absolutely nails it.
I've never heard his performance. I must perhaps try
Yeah,
to listen to
perhaps
some.
because apparently
I
he's
tell you,
doing
the biggest problem I have with Big Finish is there's so goddamn much of it,
oh, there's so much,
and if
so
they
much.
allowed user reviews, I think it would be a lot easier to have confidence in chucking them £10, you know,
Yeah, exactly,
because you know
exactly.
it's like, what am I getting here? Am I going to really like it or am I not? Is it
Yeah,
really well written? You know,
yeah,
and I think there's a little bit of a thingy about them where they look like a production line churning this stuff out. But I think another really good idea for Big Finish is they should just do a subscription.
yeah,
You know, okay, their new stuff sell at new price, right? But we've got such a huge back catalogue. Just have a monthly subscription and access to the back catalogue.
yeah. So you could,
They would have so many more users so many more people would still buy the same price new product.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
you know, I look, actually, I have had something of success in the world of commerce.
Yeah,
And I was once considered brilliant, in fact. So I've just given away a really valuable free idea to Big Finish if they haven't listened to this, because they should do what I say, because it will make them money.
yeah. It would.
But
Yeah,
you know,
Lee's put up. It's actually
I
not
just
on.
find it so difficult. So given that I don't have time to mess about,
Well, yeah,
you know, if people have got Big Finish stories that they really think I should listen to, I don't mean spare parts because I do have that one, you know, but really is good stuff that I should listen to. Let me know, you
yeah,
know, because I'd rather
absolutely.
take recommendations from you guys than play lucky dip on their website. So you
Well,
know, let you know, as always, I am
yeah.
John the White One on Twitter. My DMs are open, and you know, I'm getting to them as best I can. So
But it looks like your subscription idea has gone down well. A lot of
yeah,
people, yeah, I
well,
think it
look,
makes sense. It makes sense. Absolutely makes sense.
well, you've got so much content there that people
Yeah.
would subscribe, and it would take them a long time to get through it all.
Well,
You know,
somebody,
and so that's a subscription for a long time.
I mean,
You know,
Tardy's
and they
time.
could fix it. They could
Yeah.
fix it so that you can't download the ones you get for the subscription. You can only
Subscription.
listen to them on the website. They
I
could
mean,
they could secure. They could make sure they're not going to get ripped off blind. All sorts of ways.
yeah.
I just
Well,
don't know why they haven't done it. You
yeah.
know, I'd feel a lot better about Big Finish if it tried to make itself more accessible.
Tardy's time got it right. Yeah, Big Finish have way too many series. You simply don't know
Know
what
what to
to get
get or
or
start.
start
Absolutely.
because
And
I
as
mean,
I say,
yeah,
there's no
there's no,
pointers. There's
there's
no
no,
top
no
10.
numbering. There's no
Yeah,
numbering. There's
there's
no
no
nothing.
top selling stories, you know, to sort of give you any direction. Yeah,
No.
well, obviously that's for CDs, isn't it? 50, 30
Yeah.
quid.
Yeah, but even so, that's
But
still a lot of money, really, isn't it?
well, you know, yeah.
You know what
Well,
I mean? It's just,
okay.
yeah. But I mean,
And
yeah.
you never listen. And a Time Prophet never listens to audio dramas. I know that he's told me many times.
Oh
So,
no, he wouldn't. He wouldn't.
but me, I need to chill out sometimes, and I like to chill out in the dark. You
Right,
know, because
with the lights off and that. Yeah,
with
yeah.
the lights off, because my brain will actually relax then. You know, and how do I watch something in the dark?
Well, yeah, exactly.
You know, I don't want the television on. That's the whole goddamn point. You know, no screens, no backlight, darkness.
Just
But you
darkness.
can still have your
Darkness.
stories.
Yeah.
And hey, look, here we are. We're looking for a bookend for our first episode. Why
Yep.
do we love Doctor Who? Because we love stories.
We love just good stories, good
And
enjoyable
nobody
stories.
else, no, there isn't another franchise on the planet, no, Gobby, not even Star Trek,
No,
but
I
has
agree.
as good, a vast, as varied a range of stories to tell as Doctor
Oh yeah,
Who. And
I absolutely agree.
that's why it wouldn't die. It's just too damn good an idea. And that's
Absolutely,
why I'm
it's a
very
brilliant
happy
idea.
with Doctor Who's future. I really am. I really
Yeah.
am.
Well,
Forward to it.
it's looking. We can be.
We love stories. So true.
We love stories. We just love. I mean,
there's a great reason.
That's the thing that all these TV studios and film studios need to do now. Realize that we just want stories. That's all we want. That's all we want. It's just a good story. Just a good
Next
story.
episode, I would definitely endeavour to talk about Troughton stories.
Yes,
Because we've had a good opening here, but you can be sure that if I'm going to talk about my love of Doctor Who, I'm going to talk in depth about my love of some Troughton stories.
Why not?
So you guys can look forward to that. But we kind of need to bring this to a close now, don't we?
We do.
We've had our hour.
We've had an hour.
We are not going to stretch our luck. We've managed to pull this off. Yeah.
Yeah,
Next
on the
week, new year, new rules. Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
new everything.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for listening, thank you for accepting and understanding the bad news. We're going to try and do some good and raise some awareness and maybe save some lives.
Yes,
with these streams, which is no small ambition, but seriously, there's a lot of information we can put within them that you guys really could do with thinking about, and we'll make sure we do some of that. Basically, don't be me.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you how I messed up. Because I can't just blame my doctors and stuff for missing this and dumping me in it lastminute.com. I made mistakes too. I'm not beating myself up about them. As people say, how could you have known, John? But if I had known, and now I do know, all of the facts reveal themselves, and it was clear what was going on all along. So I wish I had had the clarity in time to maybe save my own life. That would have been nice. I don't want that to happen to any of you guys. Don't be unlucky like me. I wouldn't want it to happen to anybody. So we're definitely going to do our bit to spread some news.
Spread the words, get it out there.
And who knows? Someone may be listening to this in a year's time, 2 years' time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, and we can do good for them too. And every single reason about why we love Doctor Who will still be just as damn valid.
Absolutely, and amen to that.
Go.
Amen.
There we go.
Right then.
So with that, thank you everybody. See you next week. And a huge amount of love. Whether you consider yourself a Whovian or a Trekker or whatever, you're all welcome here.
Absolutely.
In our love of Doctor Who and our love of good stories. Same time next week.
Same time next week, ladies and gentlemen, and I shall look forward to you. So until then, all stay safe, all look after each other, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye now.